Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Real Estate Gumbo. I'm your host, Joe Meir with Joseph Meir & Associates Appraisal Services, and we've been watching the housing market and what's been happening due to the COVID-19 crisis since mid-March. We're now in week 3 of May. What's happening with the housing? Should you buy? Should you sell? Let's take a look at the data and let you decide.
This is Real Estate Gumbo with Joe Meir. Joe's been appraising residential properties, vacant land, and multifamily homes on the North Shore for 27 years now and wants to share what he's learned with you. Learn the process from real estate trends through the appraisal to location, location, location. It's what you need to know before someone hands you a front door key. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, you've come to the right table. Pull up a chair. Let's get the roux going. Stir the pot. It's Real Estate Gumbo. Here's Joe Meir.
And welcome to Real Estate Gumbo. We're going to take a temperature on the housing market on the North Shore as of May 17th, 2020, and just to figure out what's happening in the housing market. So 2020 has changed quite a bit of things in our lives. A lot of uncertainties have come into the forefront of our families, our health, our communities, jobs, and of course our homes. You know, housing is a necessity. It's one of the 3: food, clothing, and shelter are our 3 physical necessities. You know, food has been addressed in many ways. It doesn't appear that clothing has been an issue. And today we're going to ask the question, how is this virus impacting housing activity as of May 17th, 2020? You know, first we take a quick look back here and over the last 5 years, and we're going to look, you know, from a 50,000 foot view of St. Tammany Parish and Tangipahoa Parish, and just know that we're all looking from a high level view of the housing market, and pockets could be different in specific pockets of housing or housing types, but we're going to look at the 50,000 foot view. But when we look over the last 5 years in St. Tammany Parish, you know, it's really been doing well. Housing values have been increasing each year on a consistent basis in 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and in 19 it was average home was $262,000. Home construction was doing very well. In 18 they had 1,200 new home permits in the parish. That doesn't count the municipalities. This is just the parish permits. And also in 2019 they had 1,479 building permits. So that's nice and healthy building activity. Builders were probably having one of the best years they've had in many. So that's all been very good. But as we look and drill down a little closer at the number of residential active listings versus the residential home sales from January 2019 to April of 2020 in St. Tammany Parish, we can see that at the beginning of the year the active listings were building towards the spring selling market, which is typical and pretty consistent through the spring selling market until school starts, and then the actives begin to drop off all the way through, you know, through the winter time. And again in February of 2020, as the spring market was approaching, activity began to pick back up. But even looking back from 2019 to 2020, active listings were down 7.5%. Some of that was really due to housing inventory availability, but the COVID-19, I'm sure, crisis has had a little bit of an impact, but we're going to look a little closer at that in just a minute. And sold properties in St. Tammany Parish, you know, again, we were very consistent throughout the last year, from January of 19 through April of 2020. So the activities of sales is definitely showing consistency and showing some consumer confidence in the market. So it's really interesting to see those numbers. When we look at the average list price and the average sales price for St. Tammany from January of 19 through 2019 to April of 20, they've been tracking, you know, pretty consistently. When the active prices were going up, the active sales were going up. So we did have a little bit of market, you know, reaching about the same active versus sales in June of 19. But again, you know, things pretty well tracked about the same until we got here to February of 20. And it's showing a little bit of a decline in average sales price, but also it's showing a little bit of a decline in average list price. So these things are consistent in showing that the market is still pretty active. Average days to sell a home in St. Tammany Parish is still doing quite well, all under 90 days in St. Tammany Parish. And again, we're looking at that 50,000 foot view with a good, healthy months of inventory, about 6 months of inventory, and that has held pretty steady all the way through from January of 19 through April of 20. We saw a little bit, not much, but a little bit of a pickup, but still under 90 days in March. So again, those numbers look good compared to what's been happening. So the last 5 years, let's take a look at Tangipahoa Parish now. In the last 5 years, residential home values in Tangipahoa Parish have also been increasing. 163 all the way to 181.5 in 2019. So those numbers have been increasing, and it appears it kind of leveled off between 18 and 19 as an average sales price. When we look at the number of residential active listings versus residential sold properties in Tangipahoa Parish from January 2019 to April of 2020, again, active listings are tracking with the spring market here in March and April in May of 19. Consistently about 700 homes in Tangipahoa Parish is pretty consistent. But when we hit August and September of 19, the number of active properties started declining, really because of lack of inventory. Existing housing was not having a big turnover. People were buying and staying. So we were having a little bit of a declining inventory of existing homes. The builders were building as quickly as they could build in Tangipahoa Parish, but the number of active listings was declining, causing a little bit of a housing shortage of inventory availability. But when we look at the sold properties, again, very consistent all the way through. From February of 19 into the spring selling season, we see that those numbers pick up typically in the spring and right before school starts, and then they kind of settle down through school all the way through to March of 20. Again, we were showing 152 sales in March of 2020, and of course we were expecting a bit of a decline in April, but the number of sales, but honestly, when you look back at March of 19, we were at 119 versus April of 2020, 114. So right now they're still showing some consumer confidence in the market. Average list price versus average sales price in Tangipahoa Parish, again, still tracking pretty consistently here. Even when we get here to January of 2020, although the average list price was declining, the average sold price was actually increasing. So this is again showing the housing inventory causing some price competitions on competitive pricing from February through April of 2020. So all these things continue to show that there's some confidence in the housing market as of right now. Of course, there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and we're watching this closely. The average days to sell in Tangipahoa Parish, again, less than 90 days with a good, healthy, 4 to 6 months of housing. But you can see when we get down into January, February, March, it dropped down below 4 months to 4 months of housing inventory, which again, supply and demand is going to cause some of those prices to become a seller's market. But again, we're showing some consistency and some good, healthy housing activity. And the average days on market was beginning to increase a little bit here from January, but again, still about under 90 days. That's a good sign of a good, healthy housing market. So what in the new constructions in Tangipahoa Parish, again, we were tracking very closely with 2018 and 2019, slightly lower in 2019 at 681 new construction permits. That's parish permits. Of course, we've got municipality permits, which combining these numbers with the parish permit numbers, a total of about 1,200 new construction permits were pulled for 2019. also had about 362 multifamily units that were permitted in 2019. So all those numbers were showing some really good activity. But let's drill down even a little closer and look at the number of active listings per day for St. Tammany Parish and Tangipahoa Parish to see how is it the COVID-19 impacting the consumer activity in the housing market. So first thing I want to point out here is March the 12th. March the 12th was actually I think it was March the 11th, but March 12th or the 11th was when the first documented COVID case in the United States was documented, and the United States started taking action to shelter in place and such. And then Louisiana goes into sheltering in place here around March 23rd, and you could see how the number of actives per day just fell off the chart, down into the 4 and 5 listings per day. But then as we continue to watch what was happening in the market here, look what began to happen here in the mid-April building up to May. So the highest number of listings per day since the crisis started in May of 2020. We had 25 listings on May 1st, 30 listings on May 7th, another 30 listings on May 13th, and then this is definitely showing some activity of current people putting their properties on the market, and a lot of good real estate activity that's happening. So I think again, we're watching this closely, but it's very interesting to see how the consumers are responding to the housing market. And again, a lot of uncertainty as far as employment numbers and such as people get to opening our state back up and people get back to work. This is indicating that there is some consumer confidence that we're going to come out of this at this time. Again, number of homes that went under contract or pending in Tangipahoa Parish. Again, people are writing contracts and putting properties under contract, so we're showing that those are increasing. These are all indicators that there's some consumer confidence that's happening. Same thing in St. Tammany Parish. Number of homes going under contract March to May 17th, 2020. Again, look at these numbers in the end of April, beginning of May. This is consumer confidence that our real estate market is going to be okay, and I think people feel like our economy is going to come back, that they're out shopping and writing contracts. So all these are really good indicators that we've got a lot going on. And that there's some confidence in this market. The question may be, what's causing a lot of this activity in our market? Where's it coming from, and why so much activity at this time? There's some additional information. Let's take a look at it.
Some of the housing activity that we may be experiencing is being caused by what appears to be urban homeowners looking to move to the suburbs. The number of virtual home visits have dramatically increased during the COVID crisis, where people are shopping online and taking virtual home showings to view properties they may be interested in. Recently, there was a news article on ABC News that discussed this very topic, where a fellow appraiser from New York, Jonathan Miller, explains what's happening in the New York market, asking, is it time to move?
Back now with the city exodus, American families deciding to pack up their families to move far from the crowds. Here's ABC's Deirdre Bolton.
Tonight, fears over the coronavirus pandemic sparking an exodus from the big cities to the suburbs. One real estate industry leader telling ABC News many city dwellers don't want to share common spaces such as lobbies and elevators right now.
The pandemic hit us so hard because it's very hard to completely isolate.
The Usharenko family just closed on a house in New Jersey, paying $25,000 above the asking price to escape their cramped Brooklyn apartment.
When the quarantine started, I said to Julia, you know what, I bet you schools aren't even going to reopen, so we might as well move early. That really pushed up the timeline as well.
They're not alone. A firm specializing in helping urbanites flee to the burbs says its services are up 40%. Virtual 3D home tours jumped 408% in March, according to one online broker.
The suburbs are going to benefit greatly from increased demand over the next 2 to 3 years. I'm not certain that it's going to be a long-term trend beyond that, but at this point, the suburbs have the advantage.
One note for homeowners tonight, you may pay more in property taxes no matter where you live. Many public budgets are already facing a shortfall, and taxes are one place to find money. Tom?
Deirdre Bolton for us tonight. Deirdre, welcome to World News. Her first report tonight for us.
Wow, that's a lot of numbers we just looked at. But what it shows is the activity in our housing market on the North Shore. So what's the temperature of the housing market? I would say our temperature is just fine. Even through the COVID-19 crisis, we've been steady and consistent through the whole thing. Now, still, there's a lot of uncertainty what could happen with the COVID-19 crisis as we're coming out of this. Our state's beginning to open back up. Hopefully we can open up safely and quickly so that people can get back to their jobs, businesses can open back up, and we can get back to our healthy economy quickly. So if you've been thinking about buying or selling, contact a local realtor. If you need to refinance, contact a local lender. The interest rates are really great right now. Also, if you're thinking about selling, we can do a pre-listing appraisal for you to help you determine the proper value on your home so that you don't leave money on the table. Give us a call today or leave a message below. And don't forget to like our Facebook page at Joseph Meir & Associates and our YouTube channel at Real Estate Gumbo. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. See you next week.
You've been listening to Real Estate Gumbo with your host, Joe Meir. Thanks for sharing this bowl of great Southern fare we call real estate. Tune in next time as we spice it up with topics that'll help you make a delicious real estate deal in the future. Remember that Real Estate Gumbo can be found online at larealestategumbo.com. If you'd like to contact our host, visit joemeir.com. See you next week. Thanks for listening.